And we are counting down to that NDC all-important parliamentary and presidential primaries this Saturday. And there are a few new faces entering the race, some exciting ones indeed. So we're going to be focusing on some of these ones and looking at some of the interesting constituencies that they've decided to pick as their choice of playground to compete with the hopes of getting to parliament. Many of them are joining me for a conversation tonight. I'm interested in what is inspiring them. Some of them are leaving very lucrative, respected professions to go into politics, and they want to get into parliament. What is it? What is it about getting to parliament that doctors want to quit their jobs? Those in the entertainment industry doing very well want to quit. Lawyers want to get there as well. Even professors who we know have earned a good living in the academia all want to get there. You want to stay with me? After this break, I'll come back. They'll sit with me and we'll go into our research. Stay with me after this break. And some of my guests are joining me right now, and we're going to go straight into it because a few things that we need to first clear out of the way. So we have 277 seats to be contested, 277 of them. Why? Because the NDC is anticipating that a constituency will be created in the OT region for the Guan constituency, and that's why it's gone up. And then you have these individuals who join me. They are the new kids on the blog, and possibly would have seen Victor Kujoga Dawudu is the NDC Parliamentary aspirant for Central Tong, who is going to join me right now for a conversation. He's one of the new faces. He has been in the NDC's legal team for so long. He's decided now to contest in a particular seat there in Central Tong to become a member of Parliament. And then you have also Meredith Nakai Lamte Adi. Now, this is a very interesting one indeed. David Lamte is her father. And David Lamte, as you know, was a business mogul, a significant financier of the NDC as well, wielded a lot of influence in the NDC until his demise, right? And she's decided to go into contest with the daughter of the founder of the party, in this case, Zanetta Rawlings in Klotikole. That's my constituency, by the way. That's not where I vote, but that's where I grew up in Adabraka, to be very specific. So this is going to be a very interesting contest to also look forward to. And there is a story that I will begin to play out when I begin to tell you who else is in that particular constituency for the NDC. I know you know him, Baba Sadiq. He is also aspiring to be the Member of Parliament for Kankwik Central. He's been in entertainment circles for so long. The 3 awards, it's him who did it. You remember that the musical introduction that we saw for the beautiful song that was done by the latest VGME artist of the year when the heavens opened when he was performing. That was at the three awards, and that was his creative idea. And so he's been in the creative industry for so long, right? And so now he decides to also now get into politics and is campaigning in your Kankwik Central constituency. Now, Professor Edward Brenya is an interesting one. At the KNUST, at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, he is a political science lecturer there, a senior one at that, and has been doing that for so long. We've spoken to him on many issues in the past, on political analysis of issues that had come up, NDC, MPP. Well, it turns out he's not only sympathetic to the cause of the NDC, he's actually now running at the Setrafan Plains constituency. And that constituency is one of those must-watch constituencies because that's the constituency of the son of Kwabena Dufour. And I'll come to that pretty shortly. So all of them have very interesting stories. And they'll join me for conversation tonight on PM Express. A few things I want to clear out. So Victor Kujoga Dawudu is coming up against Alexander Roosevelt Hotoji, and 3 others, by the way. This is incumbent member of Parliament for that constituency. Now, if you go to look at his performance, I'm talking about the incumbent member of Parliament, maybe this graph here is what is giving Victor Dawudu confidence, because he can say to the people whilst he's campaigning that if you look at the constituency that is seen as a stronghold, it's in the World Bank of the NDC. And the man has been there for 2 terms. In 2016, he had 90.26% of the votes. The next year, he dropped to 83.07% of the votes. Now, if you make the argument, for example, in that constituency, that is a drop, you don't want that in your stronghold. This is the area where you get as many votes as you can to help your flag bearer win the national elections. So he can make this argument, but I'm pretty sure that Alexander will make the point that, 7 percentage points is too minor. But in politics, every single number counts. He may be looking at this and may use it in his campaigning. But the World Bank of the NDC is an interesting place to compete because many say the election you really need to win is a primary. Because if you win the primary, you are guaranteed a place in Parliament. That is why in a Volta region, the internal contest for the primaries, the parliamentary primary, is so fierce. And you will see that play out when we begin to open up our coverage on election eve. You will see why we are focusing a lot on some of the areas in Oti and the Volta region, because it's pretty fierce. And that's one of the areas. We'll come to Victor to tell us why he's joining there shortly. And then let's go to this area that I found interesting, my constituency where I grew up in Adabraka. Because you have Kole Clote and you have the daughter of David Lamptey. And many say she comes to this context with all the financial might and influence that the father bequeathed her and the rest of the family. So, and she's going to come up against the founder's daughter, who has been there for 2 terms, right? But here's the thing, though. Ni Afonso Coleman, in 2016, joined Nneɛma Ashite, former Greater Accra Regional Minister, and they dragged Dr. Zeneta Rawlings to court, suing her, challenging her eligibility to stand as a parliamentary candidate for the NDC, because they had argued that she didn't qualify as at the time that she was filing to contest in the party. Later on, he withdrew his suit, but Nneɛma Ashite continued in that particular fight, and he lost. She went ahead, won the primary, won the parliamentary seat, and she's been there 2 terms. So she is fortified. She fought him before in court. He dropped out. She goes ahead to win. So many will look at it and say, well, she is heads and shoulders above all of them, except the introduction of David Lamptey's daughter in the equation. That changes the equation for her. But she'll count on her performance in that particular area over the time, improving, and this is the NDC, by the way, improving their performance there. In 2016, she had 50% of the votes. In 2020, she had 55% of the votes. So she has improved her performance one election to the next, and that will play to her strength. And so you wonder, where are they drawing their confidence from? And I'll put that to Meredith when she joins us for a conversation tonight on PM Express. And then you look at the performance there, which I was talking about, and Graph tells a story. This is Zeneta Rawlings. This is Zeneta Rawlings. Nneɛma Ashite was low in the 44% bracket. She comes in there, and 2016 shoots it up to 50. She proves she is truly the daughter of former President Jerry John Rawlings. And that's where she gets to 50. She comes back in 2020 and she's at 55%. So she's done something right. How do you displace her in that place? And then this area in the Ashanti region is a critical place for us to watch. Sector Afram Plains. And for me, this is one of the areas I can't wait for this contest. You have there the son of Dr. Kwabena Dufo, who is going to contesting. That's him there. Dr. Kwabena Dufo Jr. contesting. And then you have a he's not a former, he's a professor of politics at the KNUST, Professor Edward Brenya, who is joining us tonight for a conversation. And then you have the incumbent, Alex Adomako Mensah. Now, this is one of 4 constituencies in the Ashanti region that the NDC holds, right? So it is fiercely contested. In the Ashanti region, it's a stronghold of the MPP. NDC have found some islands. We call it islands, because when you pull their maps out, they are surrounded by a blue wave, a sea of blue, which is MPP. But in Central Farm Plains, the NDC holds it, just like Asawase. So there is a lot of focus here, but the individuals involved are very interesting. Dr. Kwabena Dufour's son, and remember, Dr. Kwabena Dufour himself will be on the ballot on Saturday. He and his son will both be on the ballot that day. And yet, they come up against a prof who believes that politics is his game that he studied. He's read it, he's theorized about it, now he wants to go onto the field and actually show that he can bring that to bear. So he's my guest, we'll talk to him. But they have a strong case against the incumbent, right? Because if you look at the incumbent's performance, right, he seemed not to have done well from one election to the next. Because if you look at his dwindling fortunes in that area, he started off in 2012, 63%. You come to 2016, drops to 60%. You come to 2020, a further drop to 50%. So you are looking at, just from one election to the next, a drop of 10%. That is significant. And it's a significant decline. So he has a trajectory of the trending downwards. Any of these two individuals, any of these two, plus a lady in the midst there, Hajia Afra and Nasira, will argue that this is why you need to kick out the incumbent, because if this trend continues, the MPP might win elections. But who will it go to? Is it Brenya? Is it Dr. Kwabena Dufour Jr., Dr. Kwabena Dufour's son, or Hajia? That is a conversation that we must have. And then, of course, Okanko Central's constituency is another one that we are looking at because of Sadiq. He's a famous face. He's been all over because of his work in media circles and entertainment. He is going up against strong individuals as well there in the NDC ranks. The thing, though, that is a place already held by the MPP. And so if you look at it, even if they win a primary, they have an uphill task to win, because this is a place that the MPP has held at least since 2012, right? So you wonder, do you really believe you can go to Parliament with this if you get in there? Let's bring in my guests who are joining me. I want to go back to my guests who will be here with me, and I want to quickly start with, let's start with ladies first. Do we have with me Meredith? Is Meredith on the line? Okay, we'll get Meredith, but Kojoga Daudu is with me. Let me start with you, Kojoga. So I pulled up, and tell me the things I was talking about. How, first of all, the campaigning has been. I know you were a lawyer. We've been speaking to you here a lot of times, a member of the NDC legal team. At what point do you decide that you want to enter the race and now contest in a primary such as this?
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yeah, good evening, Evans, and good evenings to our cherished viewers, and good evening to the good people of Central Tongu in the Volta region. I think that there has been so many calls for me to come and serve the people of Central Tongu, the land of my birth, since 2016. But I felt that we were also having a lot of work to do. At the top, that's the party headquarters. But I think it is now time for me to come and take the baton and also make Central Tongu shine again. So it's been there. They had been talking to me, but this is the time. The good people have heed their call to come and also take the baton.
And as we've been talking, you say people asked you to go and campaign. And politicians always tell us that, there's a groundswell of support. People were calling on you to go, and so this is your response to the ordinary people in your constituency who had asked you to go in. I always doubt that. I mean, you must always definitely, Victor, tell me the truth. You definitely must have been planning this for a while. How long has it been? Hello, Victor. I think we may have his feeder may have just frozen. And so we'll work on that and get him for you. We'll also be joined, as I told you, by Meredith, who is contesting in the Kwale constituency. Baba Sadiq will join us. As you can imagine, many of them are in their constituencies right now. This is the final lap. Do we have the Adawudu's connection app back? Okay. I was making the point to you. You certainly, I know you tell me the regular, story that politicians tell when they jump in the race. The people called me and they were, there was a lot of calls on me to go in. But I bet for quite a while, if not mistaken, at least for the last 4 years, you would definitely have been nursing this ambition.
Oh yes, Evans. Yes, I think that the people had seen something good in me, and they think that I'll be a son that they can send to also go and represent them, provide effective representation and leadership in the constituency. And I think this is the reason why a lot of them were calling on me to come. And I think that it is also time to give back to my community, my people. And I believe that the needed leadership that we need at the constituency, largely they have seen me provided at the legal front within the court. And that is what they want me to come home and put the constituency on the map. And that is a call that I have heeded to. For some time, I didn't want to come because there was a lot of work we were doing for the party. We were contributing to nation building, but I think that it is the time for me now to provide leadership for our people.
And I'm interested in the real reasons, the ambition. What is it that convinces you to jump into this particular race? The inspiration. Let me bring in Professor Brenya, who is, as I said, the political science lecturer at the KNUS. Hello, Prof.
Good evening, Evans.
Prof, great to have you. Prof, I have been speaking to you over the last few years as a political science lecturer from KNUST. Was I deceived all along? Or you possibly in the last few weeks, just found a certain love for the NDC?
Good evening, Evans, to you, to our able viewers, to our panelists, and the producers. Evans, I believe strongly that you do agree with me that every person, every good citizen, at a point in time, must sympathize with one party or the other. Just that when you find yourself in a place where you are supposed to show your neutrality, you don't allow your political affiliation or sympathy to influence what you do. Yes, I've been a member of the NDC since 1992 when I joined the party. But looking at what I do and the fact that I am supposed to, especially when looking at national issues, when analyzing policies, I am supposed to tell it as it is. I have tried as much as possible not to influence what I say by my party colors, and that is what I've done for all this while. But I have always been a member of the NDC.
So you've been a card-bearing member of the party since 1992, you said?
Yes, please.
Wow. So you've always been partisan?
I wouldn't say that I've been partisan. I do vote. I do contribute to my party. But you would agree with me that if you said that you felt probably I was deceiving you, then you should know that I try as much as possible to look at issues from academic point of view, not from my political party's point of view. And that is why I've done all this while.
But many people now, and that's the challenge with people either in civil society or academia who were voices in the public space shaping public discourse. when they make the transition full-time to politics, people then begin to look back on their work and begin to question whether what they were saying before they actually play their hand, were they being sincere in the analysis, or was that political basis, partisan basis, influencing what they were saying? In other words, they were being biased in some way. Since you showed your hand, I believe you're still with the KNUST.
Yes, I am.
How have your colleagues, students, and the academic community responded to you?
I think the academic community have always listened to Brenya and know that in analyzing issue, Brenya tells it as it is. So I don't think it is possible for someone who is very partisan to not be easily noticed. You would agree with me that when the NDC was in power, if I felt that the NDC was doing things that from academic point of view need to be criticized, I did it, and I did it perfectly. And I did same to the MPP. So it would be very interesting if someone now comes back to tell you that something you might have said several years back when you were doing it from your expertise, that because today you have decided to come and do full-time politics, that whatever you might have been said, you might have said in the past, might have been influenced by your biases. Absolutely not. I make sure that I differentiate my professional activities from what I consider is private. At the point that I had looked at issue as an academic, I look at the theories that inform the issues, give it the face that it requires when I'm analyzing. So I don't think you would, Evans, at any point in time, say that if I had ever criticized the NDC administration, you would tell me that I was criticizing it because of my biases towards the NDC. In much the same way, I would be very shocked if anybody said, yes, when you criticize the NPP administration, it was because of your biases. Absolutely not.
Professor Brenya, stay with me. Victor Daudu, you are a lawyer. You've done this work for so long. So why do you want to go to Parliament and become a member of Parliament? Hello, Victor. Victor, if you can unmute for me. Yes, Victor.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm asking. You were a successful lawyer.
Yes,
you're a successful lawyer of more than how many years have you been practicing? Hello, Victor, can you hear me?
I've been practicing for... I can hear you, Evans.
Yeah.
Hello, Evans.
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, Evans, I can hear you.
Yeah, how long have you been practicing?
I'm humbled to say, for you to say that. Evans, I've done about 16, going to 17 years.
Yeah, so that's a long time practicing. So this is a very successful lawyer. So it begs the question, why do you want to be a full-time politician and go to Parliament?
Even the fact that when I go to Parliament, when you go to Parliament, the basic and the major thing that Parliament does is to make laws. Now, we have been practicing the law, we have been reading the law, and in Parliament, that is where you handle the political release and reason why crafted. So I think that the expectation should be when we are making the laws, we are crafting the laws, and the effective representation. So once you law, you want that this is how it works. So now put your social perspective, realism, you put all. While bill you are going to read and understand, those theories will be handy to be. The fact go to parliament does not mean that when
I think we're having a connection challenge to him.
which looks at all the
Victor, apologies there. Well, let's see if we can fix the connection to him so we can hear what he's saying, because I'm struggling to hear him. Let's bring in Professor Bringer on this. Prof, I'll ask you that same question. You're a professor of many years. To rise to become a professor just shows the extent of work you would have done in academia. So why are you leaving academia into politics to become a full-time politician and go to parliament?
Evan, thank you very much for this question. But I also believe that the mere fact that we've been teaching politics, and politics have been our laboratory for so many years, we've observed what goes on in the politics of Ghana and globally. And we come to the conclusion that sometimes the expertise that we've gathered in all those years of monitoring political activities and monitoring the things that are done, engaging the people from our constituency, should have given us that impetus at a point in time to feel that if I have at any point in time sort of impacted that skill on individuals who want to understand politics and the way politics plays out, if I have monitored the politics of Ghana as a laboratory, trying to understand why certain things happen, it should have given the experience and the motivation to want to go in and actually do what at some point in time I feel is not being done right. And that is the motivation. Going out there, practicing politics as it should be done, making sure that we are affecting policies that would affect the life of the people of your constituency and Ghana as a whole, and giving out to the people who at every point in time be looking up to you and asking, why is it that all this knowledge that you are putting out there, you are not practicing it? And that is why I decided that it is about time I go into practice what I have taught for several years.
Yeah, I mean, and you made the point that you want to go in there and correct some of the things that are wrong in there because you taught what should be done, the ideal. What do you consider to be wrong with our politics now that you believe you can fix if you become a full-time politician and a member of Parliament?
Thank you very much, Evans. I would want to use my constituency as an example, but that is where, I would first of all be affecting the life of the people through the kind of policy that is championed in Parliament. At my constituency, in recent time, interestingly, my constituency is one of those one district, one constituency created in 2012. We've had a member of parliament that you look at his performance over the years, and the people at the point in time are getting worried. They feel they don't get the kind of representation that they should have had for the years that they voted for this member of parliament. They feel that it's a time that they get those individuals with expertise to come and lead the affairs and represent them in parliament. And anytime, and by the way, Evans, let me tell you that I'm a royal from the Asuna clan of Drabonsu, which happened to be the capital town of such a farm plains.
So you're a royal, okay.
I'm a royal. My cousin is currently the chief. I should have become the chief when the stool became vacant by that time because I was schooling. When I was approached, I declined it and I told them I wanted to continue with my education. So at several and different points in time, we've always had this ambition to serve the people of such a farm plains. And when we look at what the people that have been given the opportunity have done in the past and is doing currently. And when we look at the trajectory of the performance of the Member of Parliament, the current Member of Parliament, it does pushes you to start thinking, if he cannot do it right, why don't you go in there and use the several years of experiencing, monitoring, and analyzing politics in Ghana to bear on the life of the people, to bear on the true representation that the good people of Central Plains should have. And that is the motivation.
Yeah, but as a member of parliament, your job is not to bring development to the area. This matter, you've studied it. The many volumes of books have been written about it. How members of parliament present themselves during campaigning as saviors of the constituency because they will bring you roads and development. Meanwhile, your primary job is legislating, passing laws.
Evans, I think I was very clear on that. I was very clear on the fact that as a member of parliament, you legislate. But the way that the distribution of development in Ghana is done through legislation. When we decide that we want to implement a program, we want to build a road, we want to build a hospital, it is done through legislation that is done in parliament. And therefore, when you want to affect policies in the way that it will be directed towards the affairs and the needs of the people at the grassroots level, you will do that by affecting policies, developmental policies that is brought to you in parliament, and making sure that the amendments, the way the policies are crafted, is done in a way that will be beneficial to rural communities, one of which is Central Plains. And that is exactly what I was talking about.
Let's very interesting indeed. And this is a professor indeed trying to bring the bear. I'll challenge him very shortly. Many say sometimes when theory meets practice, there's a completely whole different game. Hello, Victor. Hopefully your line is better. Can you hear me? Hello, Victor Daudu. Okay. I want to take a quick break. When I return, hopefully the connections will help us have a good conversation. But also, the two gentlemen, we'll go into the analysis I brought earlier about their chances. Especially, I'm interested in the Central Plains, where you have an incumbent, and then you have the son of the Kobna Dufour also in there with a lot of resources, many will suggest. And then you have Brenya, and then you have one more lady in there. That is a very interesting constituency with the permutations there. And we'll go and ask Victor Daudu himself. This is the World Bank. If you win this primary, it guarantees you a seat in Parliament. How is he navigating this huge field of other aspirants, 5 of them, who all won that job, plus an incumbent who would demonstrate and bring the votes that he had garnered in the past to the table going forward? Conversations after that, after this break. So as I said at the beginning, this is the final lap for a lot of the aspirants, and Baba Sadiq just walked in, and I believe he just walked in because he is wrapping up his campaign and still meeting people. Do you guys even sleep?
Well,
that's Central, by the way. Yes, I mean, he's the candidate, one of the candidates.
The last few days, I mean, how do you sleep? I mean, you can't sleep. Where do you even get the comfort to sleep? I mean, because obviously you're competing, and so there's a need for you to do last-minute touch-ups.
You first. I'm sitting here looking at you.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Exactly.
You can see the stress.
Exactly, it's showing. You haven't slept for a while.
Yeah, but the work. Yeah, I haven't slept for a while. But the work is. I mean, the work is the work. You've got to be down there campaigning, meeting people. 1,061 delegates, 1,264 delegates, scattered all over the constituency. So you've got to move one part to the other. You've got to be engaging them. You've got to sell in the message. You've got to make it a strong point to them why you are actually the choice. You are the one that would take them to the promised land. And so all these movements, I mean, takes a bit of physical efforts, and then obviously there's other factors.
So it's almost 10, and you were still in the thick of it. So tell me, What has been your message to them? What do you think? How are you convincing delegates to vote for you? Because the field is a huge field, as we illustrated before you came in.
Yeah. For me, what I've been trying to communicate to them is the Baba Sadiq effect. Anchored on my professional reputation, anchored on my youthfulness, anchored on the fact that I've got a lot of admirable traits that could be sold to the general voters in the constituency, anchored on the fact that the Baba Sadiq effect will attract will attract at least 10% of our hardest to reach blocks, particularly for the NDC. And that's what I've been selling to them. Most importantly, again, when you track the constituency from now, which there's a particular thing that has almost become a trend. The general voters in the constituency, they most often have expectations or aspirations, which they've expressed from 96 till now, in terms of the kind of qualities or the kind of candidates they would want to see from a particular party. And almost always when the parties or any party has managed to bring a candidate that matches the expectation of the general voter, they get to win. So that's the point I've been making to them, is breaking it down to them how the voter pattern has been in the constituency over time, and most importantly, the fact that Baba Sadiq actually matches the expectation of the general voter, given all the qualities that I mentioned.
So you're saying that the 1,261 delegates in the NDC are looking at which candidate will win us the ultimate next year?
That's one of the key considerations, actually the main consideration. But most importantly, again, as delegates of the party and people in the party, one of the themes that have always been running, and I'm sure a lot of candidates will tell you, is how do you take care of us? How do you ensure that we are better off? How do you also actually even give us an indication that you are really prepared for the campaign even before the main elections? So these are some of the things as well that would always come up. So, but the main point is that it's getting them to understand that now more than ever, the entire organization and the structures we've built in the constituency is meant to ensure that we win power. And for us to win power, there's a need for us to have a winnable and a competent candidate.
I've been asking all my guests who've joined me tonight the simple question, and I was doing the new faces. You've done well in your area of expertise, which is entertainment.
Yes.
In fact, the VGMA Artist of the Year, the VGMA Artist of the Year, owes a lot of his shine to that stage you created for him, Blacko, when the rain started pouring on him and all that. So you were successful. You created a successful 3 music award brands.
Yes.
So why politics? Why do you want to go into full-time politics and be a member of parliament?
Mine was actually an evolution. It was a process. There was a build up to it. Most importantly, I was born in Fadama, where I was raised. I attended school in Harrow in Abeka. From preschool to JSS3. And so it started off more from the youth in the community coming to me for me to organize a particular event for them. And then one thing led to another, where now I was deeply involved in a lot of activities for the young people. And so, particularly after the 2020 elections, and having seen my role or my performance as a spokesperson for the NDC in charge of tourism, arts and culture during the campaign.
So this was 2020?
This was 2020. It was more or less, and particularly also knowing that I'm a member of the NDC in the Kaikwe Central constituency.
How long have you been?
I've been a member from 2014 till now, but I've been voting in the constituency from 2004 till now, So it's always, this is actually what led to the call for the people to say, well, we think that we need somebody with your kind of outlook, we need somebody with your mindset, we need somebody with the political experience that you've gained, and somebody that has access to strategically place individuals on the party like you have. And we think that, this time around with somebody like you on our ticket, we're actually going to win the city. So it's kind of crystallized. There was wide consultations on it, and then we hit the road, started this.
Yeah, but you're gonna leave 3 awards and all the things that you built for somebody else to take, because you'll be full-time politician now.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to drill down. Why would you want to leave all that? What is in partisan politics and member of parliament? Because talk to the members of parliament now in parliament. They always complaining. Oh, this is stressful. You go to a constituency. It is headache. We are poorly paid. We are spending.
Yes.
And you see young, brilliant folks in your own professions making the crossover there. I keep asking, why? I get the point. I mean, people believe that you are the person. But why would you leave this very lucrative empire you're beginning to build and go into an area that everybody else who's already there in Parliament say, please don't come, we are struggling?
Social impact. I mean, and for me particularly, in all my endeavors, I've actually gone the extra mile to try to ensure that with whatever I do, there's a certain level of industrial and social impact element of it. And so I see politics as an extension of my social impactful ambition in terms of the things I can do to add or bring a certain relief to my community or constituency. So essentially moving into this, just sticking to my consistent principle of social impact.
I see. Victor, hopefully your line is better, because I still need you to answer that question I've been asking everybody else also. If you could hear me, what for you is the thing? Because you're a lawyer, successful one. You've been doing law for 16 years, you said.
I can hear you. Sir.
Yes. So what was it? Summarize it for me, the thing that made you convinced that it's okay to leave the profession and go. Because once you get into Parliament, the law even does not allow you to do anything of profit. Right? So you become a full-time politician. Why? Why do you want to do that yourself?
No, it's servant leadership. It's leadership. All our biggest challenge and problem in this country is about leadership. And I believe that with my background as a Christian and my principles, I'm sure that I can serve the people and contribute my quota to nation building. It is to serve the people, give back, let's build a society that we want. And I think that leadership is something we have learned, we have done it, and we can do it. And help our people to rally them and lobby them so that we move ahead. I think leadership is the issue.
But as a lawyer, you can help your people too, right? And I'm sure you have been representing them pro bono, doing all that. You're providing your own leadership in your own small corner. I mean, so I wonder whether the member of parliament will add anything extra, or now you get the authority of the state to do more.
No, yeah, you are seen as the leader of the community, the leader of your people in the constituency, and you have more leverage than being in private. That goes personally. Yes, you have made it in your personal, private work. Now you want to go, let it go back to the community, give back to the community, help people. People have done it. We have forebearers in our community who have done it. And now, politics is the way to share the national cake. Politics is the way of development. Who leads the process? Who lobby the people to come into the constituency and raise the standards? That is what we are there to serve the people. We are the servant leaders so that they can follow. We have to shape the vision and guide the young ones, empower them, mentor them, monitor them, facilitate them so that they would also come up in their...
His line again. Let me quickly wrap up with Sadiq because of the connection there. So you have 4 more days to wrap this up. Can you also campaign on Friday night?
Yeah,
you're allowed to.
Yes,
okay.
you're allowed.
I guess, except with the exception of the election day itself.
Actually, even on election day,
you can still. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways and means that go on there.
Yes.
So you may be spending a lot in this, but look at the last lap, where a lot of things happen. In fact, elections have taught us, and the night before and the day of the elections is where a lot of things happen. You're prepared for this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm prepared for it. I've been working towards this for some time now, and so, I mean, psychologically, mentally, and financially.
Yeah.
And resource-wise, I mean, we are prepared for it because it's an entire operation, and for you to go into such operations, campaign, a day before.
Does this mean that people spend their own money to campaign, or you build a coalition? What's your approach?
No, I mean, you'd have to spend, particularly for the primaries, you've got to go about 80% of your own money.
Okay, because for somebody to sort of support you, they need
You've
to be sure.
You've got to scale
that.
The first part of it. I mean, to be able to
80% of your own money.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, to be able to inspire confidence
If the CDD report is anything to go by, that's a sin.
That's what I was about.
Yeah.
That's what was about 4 billion in the main elections.
Yeah.
4 million in the main elections.
But that was back then. So
But that was in
could be-
2020.
yeah.
The projection was for 2020.
Exactly.
So that's about. It could go more because if you take a look.
So you
at
can spend easily that in your
in actual fact, I mean, obviously, if successful, God willing, you're going to have about 90 months to campaign. And if you're Baba Sadiq, for instance, you are going to have activities every month. I mean, I'm not one to just go and sit idle, knowing fully well that this is a seat that can be taken, this is a seat that can be won by the NDC, and obviously knowing the fact that we're coming against a candidate that has won it in the last 3 election cycles, it tells you that there's a lot of work that will be required, which means that almost every month.
What are you projecting to spend?
It will go beyond the 4 million cities.
That's CD for the main elections.
It's go beyond the 4 million.
In the
because
primary,
4 million
how much
cities-
projecting to spend?
For the primaries, I want to start to give my opponents some ideas. But it's going to be a lot of money. I mean, it's going to be a fraction of the 4 million cities. Probably a 1/3 of that 4 million cities would be something that could be spent. But if you factor in what we've been spending so far, it probably will be slightly higher, or probably half of that particular 4 million cities that may go into the main elections itself. But most importantly, like I said, all of this could turn out to be value or costs, also because some of these activities that you will get to do for somebody like Baba Sadiq, we may get to do certain activities in the constituency without necessarily having to spend some money on it because of the goodwill and because of the fact that there's a certain idea, there's a certain knowledge and know-how in terms of how to make some things happen. For instance, if I'm having to run an activity in the constituency where we're having to train people to learn a vocation or two, somebody may spend more, but I could achieve more than that or probably less. Also because I come in with a certain insight, with a certain experience, knowledge, and line of sight in terms of how these things can happen. But it's actually a very expensive venture.
Now I know where to go for my loan, my next loan. I hope we don't spend all by Saturday. I'll come and apply for it.
Hoping the delegates will agree with you.
Yeah, I'll apply
come
for
for some of the.
But thank you very much. Yes,
Thank
Victor and Brenya as well. Thank you very much. We wish you all the best, all of you.
Thank you.
New faces, hoping to do great things in politics. We'll know by close of day, Saturday. We'll be here from Friday all the way till close of day the next day. So we'll know when Baba Sadiq wins. Or, as he say, he doesn't. But he will tell you that he's only considering a win. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'm sure you're going back
Back.
to campaign, to continue. Okay, well, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.